Welcome to our webcast, Compliance Simplified, Cybersecurity Assured with Sophos MDR and 7C's vCIO services, practical tools for business leaders in every sector. This event is brought to you by 7C Managed IT Services in partnership with ASG Computing and Sophos. A few housekeeping items. We've muted the mics and will open these during the Q&A session at the end. As we progress through the content, please feel free to add your questions to the Q&A box. We will try to answer these as we work through the content. We will also open for audience questions at the end of the presentation. At any time, if you would like us to connect with you after the event, simply type "call back" in the chat. Next, please welcome 7C's MD Graham Miller for next opening remarks. Graham's career spans 2 decades in managed IT services with a strong technical background in Linux systems engineering and project management.
Hi everyone and welcome. It's great to have you with us. Today we're talking about Managed Disaster Recovery, or MDR. And we are joined by Sophos Channel Manager Chris Dane to share more insight on the Sophos MDR solution. At 7C, we work mostly with small to medium-sized businesses, anywhere from 10 to 500 employees. Some are only beginning their security compliance journey, while others are relatively mature in their security strategy and implementation. Regardless of where your business is on the strategy, compliance with several regulations in South Africa is a legal requirement. In previous events, we've looked at the POPIA Act and the SARB Joint Standard. From governance and policy alignment to cybersecurity and data protection, all businesses are required to ensure their IT networks and data are protected from loss, damage, and unauthorized access. Prevention is always better than the cure because cybersecurity threats can shut down a business overnight. A good example of this is what happened to a 150-year-old UK-based business called K&P Logistics Group. They were hit by a ransomware attack that started with a single weak password. One guest login gave the hackers, known as the Akira Group, full access to their internal systems. Despite having cybersecurity insurance and compliance policies in place, K&P couldn't recover. Their systems were encrypted, the ransom demand was over £5 million, and within weeks they had to shut down. Over 700 employees lost their jobs, and the business never reopened. This shows how fast a breach can escalate. One gap, one password, one weekend, and a century-old business is gone. Let's take a quick quiz. Share your answers in the comments. If a single weak password can compromise business in this way, what could or should K&P have done differently? Regular password changes? Multi-factor authentication, perhaps? Yeah. or for better endpoint protection or backups, possibly. These are all valid, but each one alone is not enough. The best defense today is a layered, proactive approach, one that combines human expertise with AI-driven tools to stop threats before they spread. AI tools are extraordinarily good at spotting unusual patterns, scanning millions of logs in seconds, and sounding the alarm before a threat becomes a disaster. This is why we've asked Chris to join us today. His presentation takes a deeper look at Sophos' AI-driven managed service and response solution. However, it goes beyond automated alerts. It's both smart tech and a team of real experts that guard your environment 24/7. AI is enabling cyber criminals to breach defenses faster than ever. Sophos' human layer makes all the difference. They work together effectively to find threats and stop attacks before they spread. As the premier Sophos MDR partner in South Africa, we offer MDR to our clients under an SLA agreement that we can tailor to fit your exact requirements. We offer virtual CIO services so you can access enterprise-grade protection without the cost and complexity of building it alone. It includes strategy guidance, policy documentation, and governance alignment. Your business will be able to meet the legal compliance requirements without hiring anyone in-house full-time. For more information, please connect with me after this event or type connect in the chat. Let's get to it. Welcome to Chris, who is a specialist in strategic partnership development that enables business continuity and has over a decade of cybersecurity experience. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Graham. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. If we can move to the next slide, please. So good morning, everyone. As Graham mentioned, my name is Chris Stein. I'm a channel manager at Sophos, and today we're going to talk about managed detection and response, or in short, MDR, and how it's transforming the way organizations like yours stay protected in an increasing hostile cyber landscape. Next slide, please. As cyber threats become more sophisticated, the stakes have never been higher. Our most recent survey shows the average cost to recover from a ransomware attack has skyrocketed to $2.73 million. So as Graham mentioned, the attack the other day, that was just over £5 million. But we see in the South African market more and more attacks on a daily basis. We as a local Sophos team, we probably get contacted between 4 and 5 times a week from customers phoning us saying, we've been compromised, please can you guys assist us? And we see all sorts of organizations being targeted, organizations even like an all-age home, for instance, where the attackers have got into their environment. They knew exactly how much money the all-age home had, and the ransomware that they requested was 50,000 Rand, because that's what I knew that the guys had in their bank account. So we see more and more targeted attacks where the adversaries know exactly what's happening in your environment. They know who you are, they know what you've got, and they know what they can potentially ask for. Because we see the industry at the moment, it is an industry as such. It's a business, and the attackers today, they need to make money. And if you have been compromised once, the chances of them trying to compromise you a second time is very high, highly likely, because they know that if you paid before, you are a good payer. So therefore, they're going to try and attack you again, because they want to see if they can get more money from you. So we see that is a 50% increase over the previous years, and these aren't just technical issues anymore. They're becoming critical business risks at the moment, and we've just concluded our 2025 survey as well. Unfortunately, I don't have the stats for that on this slide deck, but I'm happy to share our State of Ransomware report with you guys as well to show the uptake of ransomware in the market. Next slide, please. So adversaries no longer just break in, they log in. They exploit weaknesses, they emulate authorized users, and they adapt their tactics in real time. You need more than just a firewall and antivirus. You essentially need a team of experts on watch 24/7, somebody that looks at your business when you are essentially away or asleep. We see the majority of attacks happening after hours, on weekends, public holidays, And that's normally when the adversaries attack networks, because they know that nobody is home, nobody is watching, nobody is taking action. Next slide, please. So given this complexity, many organizations are turning to MDR services. So these are teams of cybersecurity professionals who continuously monitor your environment, they hunt for threats, and they actively respond to them. So when we look at the current industry on how adversaries gain entry into the market, we see that they go and look at who is the weakest point in any organization. And we have seen that it just takes one person, as Graham has mentioned, one person's password that was very weak, and that's how they got access to that environment. So it doesn't matter who you are or what sort of security measures you have in place. At the end of the day, if your users are not educated, it just takes one person to click on something that they shouldn't have for the adversaries to gain entry into your network. And then we also see that they abuse legitimate IT tools. We see more and more where the attackers are using legitimate tools to gain entry onto networks. For instance, there is currently an exploit on SharePoint where the attackers have figured out that if you send an email in a certain way via SharePoint, you can extort data. It might not be all data, but you can actually get data via that exploit. And because it's not a legitimate threat to the organization, any security measure that you have in place will miss that, unless you have somebody looking at the environment, eyes on screen, hands on keyboard, and they're actively looking and seeing where adversaries are coming in. We'll be able to pick up that there's something happening in the network that shouldn't be there, for instance. So we see that they are modifying the attacks in real time, and they're using their tools to bypass legitimate systems as well. So uh, when we look at the adversaries, we see that they're actively targeting organizations where they know that they have a high chance of not being detected. So we are dealing with customers daily that has been compromised, and if we take a look back, we found out those adversaries has been in the environment for 6 months, a year, even longer. We've had an instance of a municipality that was compromised, and they had to go back 18 months worth of data before they could get a safe restore where their data hasn't been compromised. So as an organization, can you afford to lose 18 months worth of data? Most organizations can't. So by having the right tools in place is one thing, but by having somebody to look after the environment is another. Next slide, please. So what I want to do today is just to look at some of the challenges that organizations face in delivering security operations on their own. So I just want to do a bit of a walkthrough to show you what is best practice and what the service essentially looks like. Next slide, please. So when we look at security operations delivery today, a lot of organizations, they still have a very old school approach to cybersecurity. A lot of the smaller SMEs that we speak to, they refer to the old antivirus days or just a basic firewall, and they think that is sufficient enough. And one of the big things that we see today is that in our market, and this is not just in the South African market, but this is on a global scale, we see that there is a complete shortage of specialist skills. We see that there's a big requirement in the market. There's over 4 million positions currently globally available for cybersecurity experts, because there's just not enough people. Because the biggest problem that companies have is as soon as you employ somebody and you upskill them, it's not long before they go and look for better opportunities elsewhere, because they've now got the skills, and therefore they are now looking for higher paychecks. And that's unfortunately the reality, and that leaves organizations with a shortage, because now they have to go and find more skill, train them up again, and stand the risk of losing those individuals again. We see that a lot of organizations have a lack of 24/7 coverage. Most organizations will only look at the environment during the day, so a typical 8x5. But what happens after hours? Who monitors the environment? Who responds to threats? Who responds to all the alerts that gets generated? And then there's also a lot of noise overload. Most companies will have more than just one security solution in place. For them to go and detect exactly where a adversary has potentially gained entry onto the network, they need to go and do a full-on investigation. And with all the lack of integration from solutions, it's very difficult to pinpoint and find that needle in a haystack, essentially, so that you can go and do a proper cleanup. Most organizations have a firefighting approach. So only once something happens in the environment do they say, oh, we need to do something. They don't proactively go and look for weaknesses within the network to go and see, okay, maybe this is an area that we need to focus on. And then when we look at the majority of the response times, a general administrator in layman's terms will take about 7 days worth of working hours to go and pinpoint exactly where an attack has originated and how to stop it. And most organizations don't have the manpower or the capacity to spend those resources on time to go and look for something that is potentially happened in their network. Next slide, please. So at Sophos, we're looking at what is the bare minimum from what should a MDR solution essentially provide to you. So at Sophos, we've launched our MDR services about 4 years ago, and what differentiates us from the market is that we don't care what customers currently have in their environments. If you look at the majority of our competitors, you need to go with their technology. So essentially, you need to do a rip and replace. So we looked at the market and we said, we don't want to go to customers and say to customers that you need to go and rip and replace everything that you've done previously because we don't agree with it. We understand that organizations make investments, they invest in technologies, they go on the advice of their service providers, and based on that, they implement solutions into their environment. They do their own homework, and for someone to come and say you made a mistake, it's not good. Especially if I've just purchased something now and I'm in that contract for 3 years or 5 years. For me to go back to the board and say we need to implement additional solutions, it doesn't look good. So from a Sophos perspective, we don't care what technology you currently have, and we play with all technologies. We can integrate, and we can then offer a true 24/7 threat monitoring, where we can integrate into your current solutions, monitor it, and act on the threats that we see in the network. It is a fully human-led response. So yes, we do rely on AI and machine learning and all the nice buzzwords that's currently in the industry. But at the end of the day, you still need that human touch. You still need that human that if something pops up on the network, that they can actually go and do a full-on investigation and see, is this a legitimate threat, or is this just maybe something that we can ignore? Most of the times, if you look at AI and machine learning responses, they will only respond on what they know. So typically, the majority of the attacks that we see is unknown. It's brand new. It's never been seen before. So how do we mitigate and prevent against those attacks? We also need visibility. We need to be able to look at the full environment and see exactly all the areas that adversaries can gain entry into the network for us to be able to protect customers more effectively. And then as an organization, we have over 600 analysts and SOC analysts that can look at environments that sits in global centers across the globe. So we have a follow the sun model. All our engineers only work during the daytime. So if it's nighttime in South Africa, we've got somebody sitting in Australia where it's daytime looking at a customer's environment. So we don't overwork our staff. Our staff works normal hours, but we have a follow the sun model. So as the workday progresses, there is somebody that is always online to look after the environment as such. And then through our threat intelligence, as an organization, we protect over 150 million endpoints worldwide. So we see a lot of telemetry. Our data lake is very big in terms of the data that we see on a daily basis. We generate over 1 billion reports every day from threats that we see. So how do we how do we determine what is real and what is not real? So we are able to leverage off our threat intelligence to monitor environments and see exactly what is happening in those environments for us to be more proactive and do more preventative measures. And then at the end of the day, we are there to do our threat detections. Our specialists, they they will monitor the environments. They will also do proactive monitoring as well, where we will use methods that we know that the adversaries are using to go and see if there's potential weaknesses within your network. So we've also got some white hat hackers working for us. So we know what the guys are currently using in the market when it comes to the methods of attacks that they use to gain entry into networks. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of MDR? So we're looking at superior security and business outcomes. So from a MDR perspective, we provide the headcount and the expertise. We don't expect organizations to go and invest in more headcount and train up more people to effectively manage their environments. Most organizations, they have a very small IT team. The IT manager normally runs around and he's busy with other IT tasks. He's busy with remote desktop support. He's busy with printers and phones and all sorts of other activities. For him to not still worry about the security aspect, it becomes just so much more. And at the end of the day, not everybody is experts. There's so many technologies out in the market. To expect one or two people to be an expert in all of it is almost impossible. So Sophos can then add those expertise into your environment, where we essentially look after your security environment for you, so that you can concentrate on the things that is more important to you, so you can carry on with your business and not have to worry that from a security standpoint that you will be at risk. From a cyber insurance perspective, we see a lot of customers reaching out to us, asking us about our MDR offering. They want to understand a bit more what exactly does the service offer, and how can they leverage that to essentially reduce their premiums on their cyber insurance. A lot of organizations are reaching out to insurance companies to get an effective cyber insurance policy in place to protect them in the event that they might be compromised or be attacked through a ransomware report. And then at the end of the day, from a return on investment perspective, the outlay that you do in terms of what does that mean to your business? What can I afford in the event that I get compromised? Can I afford to be down for a week, a month, a couple of weeks? What is the business impact going to be to you as an organization? And unfortunately, from a security standpoint, we used to see that security was always the grudge purchase. Like, it's never going to happen to me. But we see more and more now that it's not a matter of if it's going to happen to me. It's a matter of when is it going to happen to me, and what do I currently have in place, and do I currently feel secure? So from a security standpoint, we always have a layered approach. So the same as your physical security, you always need to put as many layers in place to make it as difficult for the attackers to gain entry onto your network. Next slide, please. So it's just some of the key considerations on why and how would you choose an MDR service. Next slide, please. So when we sit with customers, we always want to identify what do they want to achieve. We always put a plan in place, and we want to understand customers' security journey. Where are you today, and where are you planning to be in the next 5 years? We understand that there are certain budgets that is in place, and that for organizations to just implement the best of everything is almost impossible. So you need to look at what is more important to the organization. What assets do we need to protect first? So we always look at the critical assets of any organization, and those are the assets that we will then essentially focus on first from a security standpoint. Next slide, please. So then we also look at how do you identify, how do you want to work with our service. So we offer a three-tier service, and the way Sophos works is that if you compare MDR services, we normally compare it to a SOC or a security operations center. So this is typically a group of people that will monitor your environment. And if we look at a traditional SOC, the normal method of communication is that we will only notify it, because a security operations center can normally only detect when there are threats, but they can't really respond. So from an MDR standpoint, we can actually do the respond as well. So from a organizational point of view, we can say, okay, how do you want to work with us as an organization? Do you just want us to notify you, and then you will go and do your own cleanup? Or do you want us to collaborate with your teams? So together with your service provider like 7C or with Sophos Direct, we can then collaborate with your teams and work together to show you where the threats came from, and how do we clean it up together with your teams. Or alternatively, the last line is you give us authorization to say that I'm not the expert. I don't know. I don't know where to look for security threats. So in the event that if I'm asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning and you see a threat on my network, I want to authorize you to go and stop that attack and make sure that it doesn't spread to the rest of my network. So then what the MDR team will do is they will go and stop it. They will mitigate it, and then the next morning they will give you a call and say, this is what we picked up, but we have stopped it and we have cleaned it up. So to give you that little peace of mind that even while you're asleep, that your organization is still protected. Next slide, please. Then we also look at how do you identify your current security investments. So what do you currently have in place? As I mentioned earlier, we integrate with all third-party products. So whether you've made investments into Microsoft, into other technologies from a firewall perspective, or even on an endpoint layer, we look at what security protocols organizations currently have in their environment, and together with the provider and the customer, we can then cater a solution to their needs. We can then look at what can we do from a security standpoint. What telemetry do you want to provide to us for us to have visibility into what's happening on your network? Or do you just want us to monitor your normal endpoint layer? Or do you want us to monitor your network layer as well? One of the big things that we see today is that one of the first entry points or attack assets that adversaries are after is your backups. So do you want us to monitor your backups? So we can integrate with Veeam, with Rubrik, and that list is growing, where we can integrate into your current backup solution. And if we see that your backups have been tampered with, we can actually go and investigate and see, is there currently threat actors in your backups, because we see that is the first point where attackers go. They compromise your backups, because I know if you cannot backup, they can then hold your ransom even better from a monetary perspective. To say that, well, you can try and back up, and without paying us, we're not going to give you your data back. And then one of the other areas that we also see that is on the uptake is IoT devices, unmanaged devices, devices that's currently sitting on your network, that is connected to the network, but that is not being looked after. So if you look at your IP phones or your camera systems or your access control, or even we have instances where customers had a data center and the air cons that they had in the data centers was connected to the network, and the bad guys couldn't get access to the service. So they saw, okay, well, there's some air cons connected on the network, and they switched the air cons off, and the data center completely overheated, and the customer essentially lost all their data because the hardware gave up because they overheated. So we see more and more ways for adversaries to find clever ways and innovative ways to compromise customers, to to either try and steal their data or be malicious or just use their resources to maybe do a more targeted attack somewhere else. Next slide, please. So from a MDR service, there's normally a couple of questions that we ask customers. Next slide, please. And those questions come down to currently, what do you currently have in place? So what current security measures are you currently using? Do you have endpoint? Do you have a firewall? Do you have an email security? Do you have backups? Do you have anything on a network layer from a network perspective, like your switches and any other entry points on your network that you are potentially looking to protect? Then we also look at how can we service your existing cybersecurity solutions. So is there room for us to integrate? Is there room to maybe even display some of the technologies that you might not be happy with? One of the questions that we normally ask is, have you been compromised in the past? If you have been compromised, where do you currently feel your current weakness in your network sits? And then from there, we also then look at who are the people that you currently have employed. Are they currently actively responding to threats? Are they monitoring your environment, or are they only there to react once something happens? Then we also look at what from a growth perspective, what is the area that the organization is looking towards? Are they looking to expand in the next 5 years, or are they a small and intimate team? Is there room for growth? Is there room for them to look at additional security measures from an integration standpoint? And then also, what level of support are you currently offered? So how is your SLAs currently configured? Is your providers currently just offering you a once a week or a couple of hours a month support, or are they actively talking to your teams? Are they actively part of your support arm when it comes to driving your services? Is there people on call that you can reach out to in the event that something happens? Do you currently have an incident response plan in place? Most organizations today don't. We find that it's normally the bigger corporates or the bigger enterprise businesses that will have an incident response plan in place. An incident response plan is great, but are you testing it? Have you run simulations against your environment that in the event that something happens that you can actually go and recover? So from an incident response plan, we can also help you and sit down and help write an incident response plan with you to put certain measures in place that in the event that you get compromised, what does that look like? Who does what, and how can we then effectively assist you? And then lastly, the current solutions that you currently have in place. In the event that you get breached, do you currently have a breach protection warranty in place? Do you have that that additional layer of safety that if something happens to me, at least I know the providers that I've bought technology from, they will assist me. They will help me to recover. Most of the time, companies do not do that. But from a Sophos perspective, next slide, please. We do offer a breach protection warranty as well. So we don't just put our money where our mouth where our money where our mouth is. We actually back it up. So this is underwritten by Sophos. It's not done through any other third party. But in the event that we as Sophos, if you are an MDR customer and you're using our solutions and we are monitoring your environment, in the event that we miss something, we will pay out a breach protection warranty to customers and see this from a warranty standpoint the same as a car. If you drive a car and the engine breaks, your warranty will cover that. But we get the question a lot is, if you've got a breach protection warranty, why would I still need cyber insurance? So cyber insurance is for everything else. So look at it that way. So the warranty will cover the main components. So in the event that you get breached, we can help you to recover. So that will also include a full incident response team that can come and help you to do a cleanup and get you to a stage where you can actually operate and trade again as an organization. In most cases, the money can even be used to pay the ransomware, even though we don't recommend it. But in worst case scenarios, you can also use the money to essentially pay the ransom, or you can use the money to pay for any PR activities that you need to go to market if you are working with sensitive customer details. It from a POPI standpoint, you need to inform the market that you have been compromised and that there's potential personal information that has been leaked and that has currently been stolen. So we can help with the cost of that as well. So in conclusion, I just want to reiterate from a Sophos standpoint, we are happy to come and have a chat with you together with 7C. If this is a solution that you guys feel might be fit for your organization, from a governance and compliance perspective, we see a lot of organizations that they need to have certain frameworks in place, and from an MDR standpoint, we follow a lot of the current frameworks currently available in the market, and through our solutions we can help organizations be more compliant as well. So not just from a security standpoint where we protect your environment, but we can also help you in other areas as well. So I want to thank you for your time today, and I hope this gave you some clarity on what our MDR service is, why it matters, and how we as Sophos, how we can assist and help you. Thank you.
Next, we have Jacques, who is the General Manager at ASG. Jacques has more than 25 years of experience in this industry and is passionate about delivering innovative and sustainable solutions that meet the needs and expectations of ASG's clients. Over to you, Jacques.
Thanks, Jacinda. Hi, everyone, Jacques here. Thanks again for being a part of today's session. We've covered a lot in the last 45 minutes, from real-world threats to powerful tools that help mitigate. But I want to close the loop and give you a simple, realistic view of what the next 30 days could look like if you're ready to move forward with your compliance journey. And that's because tools alone won't make you compliant. It's how you apply them, where you prioritize, and how quickly you can respond to the gaps you've got now. Here's the 30-day compliance roadmap we use with clients. First, we identify what regulations apply to your business, whether it's POPIA, the FSCA SARB Joint Standard, even ISO 27001. Understanding what frameworks you're working under is where it all starts. Step 2, we assess your current risk posture. We help businesses run a vulnerability scan and a data breach check. This identifies any leaked company data or compromised credentials, which we've seen in over 250 businesses, even those that thought they were secure. Step 3, we conduct an IT infrastructure assessment. We look at your current environment, your backup policies, device visibility, endpoint protection, and map out where the weak points are. Step 4, we develop a practical, risk-based action plan. Not everything has to be fixed on day one. We help you prioritize, plan contingencies, and get leadership buy-in without overloading your team. Step 5, we implement the right solutions. That might mean onboarding Sophos MDR for 24/7 threat detection, improving your backups, or aligning your policies through our virtual CIO services. Lastly, we ensure ongoing monitoring and support. And this is where the value really compounds. Having ongoing monitoring, compliance reporting, and strategic support built into your SLA with us. So by this time next month, you could have a full picture of your risk, your plan in motion, and the peace of mind that comes with knowing that your systems and your people are protected, without hiring a full security team of your own or buying a dozen disjointed tools. That's what compliance by design means. Simple, scalable, strategic. If you'd like help kickstarting your next 30 days, just type connect in the chat or drop your details via the follow-up email, and we'll set up a quick planning session. Thanks again for being here. Stay safe out there.
Thank you for the informative presentation. Now, if any of you guys have questions, you're more than welcome to ask your questions, and our experts will answer for you in a few. Thank you. We've come to the end of our session. Thank you all for joining us. We have our details here on screen. Feel free to connect with us for your free vulnerability scans, as well as connecting with our sales team if you need assistance with any cybersecurity and compliance. Thank you so much.